Hello and welcome to today's webcast, Seamless EDI Integration for Dynamics 365 Finance and Supply Chain. I'm Sandrine Wagner, Digital Marketing and Campaign Manager at SEEBURGER, and I'm here with Lukas and Horst from Soluvine and Lukas Hirschner from SEEBURGER. Just a few organizational things before we get started. Your microphones are all on mute, but you can drop your questions anytime in the comment box, and we'll come back to this at the end of the webcast. You also do not have to take any notes. We will send you a recording as well as the presentation slide deck after the webcast via email. Right, then I hope you enjoy, and I hand over to Lukas.
Hi everyone, and thank you, Sandrine. So here's Lukas from SEEBURGER on the left side. I'm pre-sales manager at SEEBURGER, also caring for our D365 solutions. And I'm here today with Horst Fischer and Lukas Reiter. So I will hand over to you guys so that you can introduce yourself.
Thank you, Lukas. My name is Horst Fischer. Make it short, 30-year Axapta Dynamics 365. I guess it says everything. I'm looking forward to the presentation.
And I'll close it off here. My name is also Lukas. I'm Managing Director at Soluvine. We are a SEEBURGER partner in the area of Dynamics 365 Finance and Operations, or Finance and Supply Chain Management. And we consider ourselves integration specialists for D365, and looking forward to the presentation as well. Yeah, and back to you, Lukas.
Yes, thank you guys for being here to present our joint solution to our audience today. And I will make the beginning from the SEEBURGER side to tell you once again where we are coming from, what D365, what the status of D365 is at SEEBURGER at the moment, and yeah, what we have made out of this. And yeah, probably most of you in the audience know that SEEBURGER is one of Europe's biggest EDI providers. We do EDI for 40 years right now, and well, we have implemented a lot of ERP systems to our EDI solution, and the two biggest that we have are SAP, obviously, and the second biggest is D365. And we are also seeing that D365 is currently growing. A lot of our customers moved their legacy ERP to the cloud and question themselves if they also should change their ERP provider. Some of them decide for D365. Just on a side note, that is what we at SEEBURGER did as well. We at SEEBURGER introduced D365 Finance, D365 Sales, and D365 Power Apps, which is used as a ticket system in our company, to SEEBURGER. And obviously, we also used our own middleware to connect it to various different systems. But that's just on a side note. What we really want to talk about today is that, yeah, D365 is an important topic for us, and we are always looking for solutions for our customers to really make it easier and easier to integrate their partners via EDI with their D365 system. And yeah, that's what this webcast should be about today. So that you can understand what the solution is looking like that we have made up with Soluvine, I start from the very beginning, just explaining the basic functionality of SEEBURGER again, which is basically that we are connected to the ERP system of our customers. In this case, on the left side, this is D365. And we receive business documents from our partners, like orders, order response, dispatch advice, and will then translate them to our master format And from our master format, we have about 20,000 partner mappings to translate the in-house format of our customers to the format that their business partner needs. And then also we have all the communication adapters to make the communication to the business partner and deliver the message that you want to send him. And obviously, this is not only working from your ERP systems to the partner's ERP system, this is also working vice versa. If your partner wants to send you an order, we will receive that order, use our partner mapping to translate it to our master format, and from our master format, we have in place an interface to translate that to your in-house format and ship that back to your ERP system. So the good thing about this is that you as a SEEBURGER customer never have to worry about the connection to your EDI partner, and also never have to worry about the EDI format of your EDI partner, as SEEBURGER brings that as a service, the connection first, and also the partner mapping, and also will for sure then maintain this partner mapping for you, so you don't need to worry about that side. What you really need to think of if you migrate to D365 is the connection on how to connect the SEEBURGER solution to D365. And well, this just for an information, you see here the standard interfaces that Microsoft suggests to make the connection happen. And also beyond that, on the lower side of the slide, also the interfaces that we have seen in practice also are commonly used, even if they are not like officially recommended from Microsoft. So this is the first thing that you should need to consider when connecting to SEEBURGER. What's the interface, and also who is doing the mapping on the SEEBURGER master format. Usually we take the in-house format and translate it to our master format. The second thing, a customer that migrates to D365 needs to consider that it's not done with the plain interface, but also after the data is arriving at D365, there should be some validation processes and also maybe a manual review before the data is booked to the ERP system. So for example, you receive an order from your EDI partner. SEEBURGER will receive that for you. SEEBURGER will validate if it's syntactically and also semantically good, and then will forward it through the made-up interface to D365. And then within D365, you need a validation process to validate if also the content of that message is correct and fitting to your business logic. And well, usually there are two options that you have to make that happen, that validation process that you could also name staging process. First of all, you can build that yourself with the tools that Microsoft provides you natively within D365. This tool is named Data Management Framework, and you can use this to build staging tables and also do business validations on the data that you have in these staging tables. Also, for sure, you can use these staging tables to let persons, business clerks, validate the business data manually and then also book it manually. And then also you can use specialized extensions from partners that makes it a lot easier for you to implement this whole staging process and also the interface to SEEBURGER. And this is where our joint solution with Soluvine comes into place. So there we have a plugin within D365, which is called FlexLink. This is the product of Soluvine. And this plugin already handles all the things that I just said that you would need to set up. So this plugin already has a connector to SEEBURGER to transfer data between each other. This plugin also have already a mapping which produces CXML, which is our master format. So there won't be so much effort to produce the format SEEBURGER needs to translate it in any other partner format. And obviously, it already brings in usual staging processes, usual validation processes, and also the opportunity to review manually what's coming in, what's going out, and book that also manually. And obviously, there are more advantages to it, like the usability, also the customizability. So in some cases, you don't need to code anything if you want to make adaptations, but the business clerks themselves can use it to make the adaptations themselves. And also, clearly, Microsoft has a really tough update agenda where they have updates every quarter. This is then updated by Soluvine, and you don't need to worry about that. So as a summary, the solution of Soluvine and SEEBURGER together makes it very easy for D365 F&SCM users to set up their whole EDI connections and to set up their whole EDI connections from the very beginning to the very end. So this is the full story covered, and this is why we also like that solution so much. So this being said, I would like to hand over to Lucas from Soluvine to give us an introduction to Soluvine as a company, and then also to see the demo on the FlexLink plugin.
Perfect. Then I'll take over from you. I'm going to say a few words about Soluvine itself, and then we'll take a look at our product. Speaking about Soluvine, we are a certified ISV for Dynamics 365 Finance and Supply Chain Management. We've been in this area of this software for more than 25 years now. Obviously, the product wasn't always named the same way, but today it's called Dynamics F&SCM or F&O, and this is where we really feel at home. For more than 5 years now, we have been really focusing on producing, improving, selling add-ons for F&O, with our main goal being to come up with solutions that are standardized for common problems that we see across different companies, across different industries, where simply certain functionalities and features are missing inside of F&O, and EDI is definitely one topic that we consider to be for it to be room for improvement here. Let's put it like this. Our main goal is really to have products that can be configured both from us but also from customers directly, rather than having to develop features and functionalities again and again and again for more or less the same requirements from different customers and industries. And we're combining this with very personalized consulting, both when it comes to processes connected to our product and obviously also the product itself. We actually have 2 products. One is called Flex Store. So this is all about enterprise content management and document management within Dynamics 365 F&O. And our other product is called FlexLink. So this is all about integration communication, and that's where we will definitely focus on for today. Talking about FlexLink, what is it actually? It's also, of course, a Microsoft certified ISV solution that you simply install in your Dynamics environment, and then it is available as a module in your left-hand main menu, just like any other module you have available inside of your F&O. And what we are providing is actually an integration framework for different use cases. There are actually 3 use cases that we have basically separated by modules, meaning you can take all three of them. But if you say only B2B EDI is relevant for you, then you're only going to use B2B EDI. So this would be our first module, real EDI communication between customers and vendors with typical EDIFACT messages or similar approaches. Then our second module is our MES module. So this is all about integrating external manufacturing execution systems with F&O. And last but not least, we also have a third module all about warehouse management and inventory management. So to be able to also integrate external warehouse management systems with F&O. What you get if you use one of our modules is, first of all, standardized interfaces. So this is what Lucas from SEEBURGER mentioned before, what's really lacking inside of F&O. Of course, there are some out-of-the-box solutions that you can use and that you can basically take as a base to then continue developing on top of it, but you don't really have those standardized interfaces that are ready-made for EDI communication. So this is something that we are providing with our product. And on top of that, also the topic of data validation, meaning that any data received from an external system into Dynamics 365 via FlexLink is always put into a staging area. In this staging area, we can validate against master and transaction data, both from a technical perspective, but also from a business or process perspective. And once data has been validated, that is deemed to be okay, we are also striving to automate processes as far as possible using the data that you're receiving from your customers or vendors, while at the same time keeping things very transparent. We simply know, and also many of our customers mentioned this, that with out-of-the-box tools that F&O is providing, it's not really transparent what's exactly happening in the background when it comes to integration. With OData recurring integrations, things just pop up suddenly. You don't really know why a certain order has been created. You don't know if an outbound message has actually been sent. These are all the things that we are striving to improve here, to really make it transparent for the end users what's going on when it comes to integration. And last but not least, we want to make it easily customizable and extendable. So if there is something very unique to your business or very unique to your business processes, then it's still easy for us to customize our product and take the next step or take one step more in order to really cover your business processes as you want to execute them. For B2B EDI, our goal really is to have a plug-and-play EDI implementation, meaning to install our product and to be able to use out-of-the-box functionality. So those interfaces, the validation, everything that I've mentioned before, right from the start, not having to invest basically a single minute of development to get started with EDI. On top of this, our goal is really to unite processes and communication. So we really think this needs to be seen as one thing. If processes are executed within Dynamics, communication needs to be a part of it, and vice versa. We are of the opinion that communication in the sense of EDI messages should trigger and also automate processes as far and as automated as possible. And last but not least, the transparency, which I've mentioned before. So if you install our product in your system, you actually get two sides, so to speak, of functionality. One is the supplier side. So this is all communication between you and your suppliers using SEEBURGER, meaning that we offer 5 interfaces out of the box. So this is about the purchase inquiry, the purchase confirmation, then also a purchase order creation interface when it comes to vendor managed inventory, and obviously purchase invoice and also advanced shipping notice interfaces that we offer for your suppliers to send messages to you, but also for you to send messages to your suppliers via SEEBURGER. On the customer side, we offer the exact same thing, meaning that we offer interfaces for sales inquiry, sales confirmation, sales invoice, and obviously also the advanced shipping notice or dispatch advice, as it is called in the EDIFACT world, so to speak, to communicate with your customers also via SEEBURGER. What's really important here to mention is that we are not simply receiving and sending data, but we are also in a situation where we can actively monitor communication, meaning that we can monitor if a message has been sent to SEEBURGER and if it has been processed correctly within SEEBURGER and within the logic of BIS, and show all of this inside of Dynamics. And this is really something that you don't get with out-of-the-box functionality from F&O. You simply send something, you receive something, but you don't have the transparency across the communication chain between SEEBURGER, your partners, and your ERP system. If we look at some features that we want to highlight, one feature to highlight definitely, and Horst will show this in quite some detail in just a few minutes, is our partner management. So what I've mentioned before, the topic of configuration instead of development, this is all about partner management and you being able to set up your EDI partners, both suppliers and customers, inside of Dynamics, being able to connect them with your customers or vendors, basically within your master data of Dynamics, set up interfaces, set up automation, validation. All of these things can be done directly within F&O. And once you have set up your partners, we are offering a standard REST API, basically with the installing of the module or of the add-on. And this standard REST API, as mentioned before, provides those interfaces both on the supplier and on the customer side. On top of that, you get data validation. So data validation means that during or while data is still in the staging area, we can validate it against Dynamics master data and also transactional data to see if it technically even makes sense. If the master data or transaction data is basically in a logical relation to what's already in your system. And we also can do business and process validations to make sure that certain sequences or certain deadlines are also kept on top of the technical validation. All of this is shown within workspaces. So this is not happening somewhere in the back and suddenly there's a new sales or a new purchase order created, but we really do have D365 workspaces just for EDI, for the purchase side, for the sales side, and also for purchase invoices, where you can very transparently see which messages you're receiving. You can open up those messages. You can investigate basically what's in the header, what's in the line. Is the validation okay, or were there some issues maybe during the validation? And then you can obviously also post the messages directly into your sales table, purchase table, or any other area inside of Dynamics. These workspaces are mainly meant for error handling because in the ideal case, you don't have any errors, so you also don't need to spend your time in those workspaces. But obviously for error handling and simply validating certain things manually, you can use those workspaces. I've mentioned the topic automation as well before. So when we're talking about automation, this is really about trying to execute processes as far into the system as possible by the data that you're receiving. So best example is dispatch advice. We're not simply receiving a dispatch advice, but once we have received the dispatch advice, we really are creating the packaging structure. We're also setting up your inbound load planning workbench in a way that you can simply receive your items, for example, by simply scanning the barcode of your pallet that you're receiving. Then we also have something we call EDI fact boxes, meaning that across the system on purchase orders, sales orders, customers, vendors, you see all the EDI information that is necessary or relevant for that specific use case. And last but not least, and this is now a more technical part, the performance is substantially improved compared to standard solutions provided by Dynamics, meaning that also because of our MES integration capabilities, we are able to process up to 100,000 messages per day with our solution, all while monitoring everything that's happening within the system, monitoring outbound messages, monitoring inbound messages, and as mentioned before, giving options for business people to monitor and have a transparent look into what's happening, but also for tech admins to see what's happening and if communication is working correctly, or if there might be some communication issues between Dynamics and your communication partners. And that would be a very short but intense introduction to FlexLink. And to now show you what this looks like in real life, I'm going to hand over to Horst, who will give you a live demo of what this looks like in Dynamics. Horst, I think, is still muted.
So thank you
Yeah.
for handing over. Okay, we will run through the system 365. And before we run through the system, I will show what we are basically to show you what the operation may look like in the demo we are running here. So I made a short slide to see that we basically have two clients in our demo system. So we're using one client as a buyer and another client as a supplier. So we can really play, we can sell something, we can purchase something. So we're starting on the purchase side and basically sending a purchase inquiry via the BIS server to our supplier, which basically receives our inquiry. He will then create an order and of course, he will confirm that he could ship the goods. Goes again across the BIS server, and the buying part will receive more or less a purchase confirmation. Then we're running an update so that the purchase order is conform with the confirmation status. And meanwhile, while the purchasing part is waiting for the goods, the supplier is basically picking the stuff, registering it, posting the packing slip, and also posting the invoice. That we could basically fulfill then the complete process on the DMF side, on the buyer side. That means the buyer have also then to post good of receipt, that we can do this three-way match, because this is necessary to have the item arrival posted. And then you can use, we're using more or less the vendor invoice, which comes over the BIS server, and running to pending invoices. So we approve it in our staging, running to pending invoices, finally to Microsoft, matching the goods receipt with the packing slip and the invoice, and post it. Basically, this is the complete process, which we will show in a live demo right now. So let me switch our system. On the right-hand side, you see, for better understanding and that you can follow up where I am, we have on one side DMF client, which is a standard client of the Microsoft demo system. So this is more or less the buyer. The process is over here. And then depending on the process, we're switching between buyer and supplier. And we will just run through this slide here on the right-hand side to see the process running. The first thing to open basically the process is that we're going to create a purchase order in the DMF client. This means it's standard Dynamics 365, where we just open a purchase order and create one. And then we start already with the first process. So we have our most favorite vendor and creating a purchase order and adding one item so that we can run basically the electronic communication using our standard item, confirming it. And as we see at the moment, after the purchase order is created, we have a status from open order and it's approved. So basically that's how it starts. We are of course eager to see if our supplier could ship the product. So that means we stay here now on creation. And the next thing would be on the purchase side, we will send a purchase inquiry to our supplier and ask if he would be able to ship the goods. So this is the first task here. So we post from the open order, from the open purchase order, the purchase inquiry. As Lucas was showing at the very beginning, we already have customers, they want to see also the PDF and not only the electronic document. So this system is set up in a way that if we generate an electronic transaction, we also generate basically for the archiving system also a PDF document, so we can always watch, and it's also good for the demonstration here. But you also see we created already the first transfer. That means we posted a purchase inquiry via the BIS server to the supplier. And at the same time, the purchase order changed the status in external review. That means so we know we have sent out an inquiry and we are waiting for the feedback from our supplier to get into the next step. That means we now switch to the supplier because we need also to follow up on the supplier side. It means you're changing now to USMF company. And we have basically EDI order processing. This is the first time we're jumping into the interfaces of EDI management. So we have here all our workspaces. So the workspaces basically sorted on the sales, purchase, and ASN, depending which process it is. And we will soon receive a notification from the notification system. IDA, I can show you already. We can receive it through our Teams. So we have a Teams card, so the Teams card is arriving, so we can use the link here, which jumps direct to the sales order journal. At the same time, we have also set up alerting, but it takes always a minute until the dispatch job is running so that this alert starts basically. But we are receiving that we have a sale. Yeah, now it arrived. You see, it's also the alert, the internal alert 365 is basically offering. So this means we received now the sales order. It's approved. We have 3 status in the journal, which is validating, approving, and posting. Validation is running what Lucas mentioned in the very beginning, that we are not having a black box posting or blind posting. So if you receive the goods, the transaction, first of all, we stop it here in our staging area, which is basically the journal before we really create a sales order in this case. And look into all the data what we have and running a validation. The validation is in a profile, and the profile basically, I can show what the profile has here. So we're checking if the order already exists, if an account is there, if the invoice account is there, terms are there, item number correct, units connect, whatsoever. It's free configurable. We have a huge catalog of validation approval elements. And depending on the process, you could basically build your own by configuration and not by developing, by configuration more or less the approval catalog, what your specific customer or vendor needs to be approved of. So the approval went through. This can be manually or automated. We have it half automated. I say, please validate and approve it directly. Everything is okay. And if it's okay, I can just post it. This is now the way you will see here that sales order will become accessible if it's posted. And this is the time where we are basically here. That means we have the EDI order processing and we creating a sales order. And the next step is we confirm it. So we can jump direct out of this staging where we basically approve everything that is correct, what we can post, into the sales order. Now we are in the standard 365 sales order environment, having all the data which we received in the system. And of course, there is always a data enrichment. So if we send a customer number, then we, of course, the system enriches it automatically with the relevant data from the system. But the order is created, and you see now already on the right-hand side, the management log. That means we see that the sales order creation basically came in via EDI. We look a little bit later into these messages if we are complete with one of our run over here. So, of course, we are the vendor. We would like to sell our product. So what is our next step? Of course, we're going to hang and we will confirm the sales order. And this is also the next step, which happens here in an electronic way. That means this step on the right-hand side, creating a confirmation, run the confirmation, and which is again creating a document, which is stored in the archive solution and creating an electronic. You see it already a little bit in the back on the top here in a blue band, creating more or less the message, sending it to SEEBURGER, creating also the document here. And we have already now sales confirmation, and you see the error on the beginning, send out. There is also something, let's look over here, message tracking on the SEEBURGER side. Let's see what we did here. So we had this order response, we had this purchase order. So this is exactly what SEEBURGER basically gives us on the message tracking. On any message we are sending out or in, or we across SEEBURGER server is, of course, then tracked in the message tracking tool. So sales order was confirmed. So the next step, of course, is that we need to go to the purchase side from the buyer. And the buyer, of course, would like now the internal the external review to be confirmed into a confirmed purchase order that he knows the order is correct. And this is also done on the EDI part. So the EDI management has also a purchasing processing. So the purchase processing also can receive messages, can receive it on test on Teams whatsoever. But we received now the purchase order confirmation. Here you see the action type. And by opening the purchase order confirmation, the inquiry we send out for the two pieces, 101, are confirmed with the correct price, the correct quantity, everything is correct. So it was again pre-approved, we validated, we approved it automatically, so no error shown here. But you can see it was also the same approval running now depending on a confirmation. And we can just post it. And this will change now the purchase order status because it's now confirmed. And if you look now to the purchase order itself, then we will see that the purchase order has confirmed state. That means, and we also have an update over here that the electronic information is showing up that we received the purchase confirmation electronically. That we finally could run also the posting, invoicing, and everything on the purchase. The sales party needs to ship something. So we need to switch now again to the supplier part. And we're gonna create more or less, we pick the two goods that we can ship it. So we have here the pick and pack functionality. This is a very short run through, just a posting. Don't need to go to the warehouse. And after that, we can confirm it, that it was picked. And this allows us then to have the packing slip in a correct way. We are now here on registration and confirm it. Update all, and the activated now is completed. This means I can now really run the packing slip and post the packing slip to my customer. And you will again see the update on one hand, document, and on the other hand, it gets also a management log for the EDI message. So that means we have registered the packing slip and we posted the packing slip. And of course, after we shipped it, this is what we did already, we can post the invoice. So we will take the invoice and create the invoice for the packing slip. So that means now we send out also electronically via SEEBURGER the invoice. And then we are more or less complete on the supplier side. So his job is more or less done. He picked it, he shipped it, he sent us the document, and finally he sends us the invoice. And that means we are closed here. But by sending us the invoice, of course, I need to do now the product receipt on the sales side. And on the product receipt, I need the packing slip number for the three-way match. As we don't have more or less printed out any documents, I'm now just going on our packing slip we just created for our customer, and I take the packing slip number, which I then can use without printing the document, going to DMF, going to the next step, post product receipt. That means we're having a receipt function, product receipt, and of course here I need the packing slip, which is, was not copied. Then we'll take it. Now we need to improve. The copy did not work. So we invent our packing slip number. And the product receipt basically gets posted. This is the prerequisite that we basically can run the matching on the pending vendor invoice. Okay, posted. That means, and now we can go to the inbound of the purchase processing invoice. That means invoice is a special workspace because it's not connected to a purchase order directly or to a sales order. It's connected to the pending vendor invoice journal, and it will direct communicate to the journal. So we're taking over more or less the information from the packing slip what we received, and while the item arrival was done already, I can open here more or less the invoice, the electronic one, which is the status imported. And here I show you, I did not automate anything. So this is how it looks like if we would do it manually. So you could say I do validate, then it confirms, then I can approve it. And it again runs through all the approval checks. So it checks if the order, everything is correct, the port, the inventory, all the information which is in this profile is basically approved now, no errors. And now, of course, I can post it. And in this case, the posting is going basically to the invoice pending vendor invoice. And if I open the pending vendor invoice, we will see our record, which is over here. And on editing it, we will unfortunately see my wrong packing slip number, which I was entering manually, but it doesn't harm us at this moment. But to finish this is we need to do a product receipt match. That means the product receipt we posted, we match now with the so-called packing slip, which has at the moment here my given number. I confirm this. That means for the system, the three-way match is more or less accepted. And I can basically then go and post the pending vendor invoice, which is then available after posting for the payment runs, because it's as finished with this three-way match. Let's do a very short recap, because I promised you that I will show you. Let's jump back where we had been. That I will show you the communication part. So let's go to the sales processing. We are here on DMF is on the purchase order itself. While we created the purchase order, we created a lot of transactions over here besides of it. And by going into here, you can see every single process, either sent or received, depending on which direction it was, is basically recorded. And it has, if this information, normally if everything runs fine, you're not really caring of, but if there would be some problem, you can dive deeper, and you could see basically what was going on in this record. How did the message look like I was sending it out? How the logs are, when was it sent, when was it organized, when was it done? And the lower part is the most important one, because we are supporting the SEEBURGER communication framework. That means we can report back that the request was successfully posted and delivered. This is basically a full run over the pending vendor invoice with the packing slip recording and the matching of the product finally posting. Is one complete cycle from creating a purchase order and running the sales circle on the right hand side and coming back to the purchase circle and finishing basically with posting of the order. Do we have any questions?
Yes. So how does FlexLink ensure that incoming EDI messages are correctly validated before being imported into the ERP? Are there automated checks, or do I have to configure this myself?
Yes, we touched it slightly, but of course, not in deep. There is a setup section that expands what we have. This means two parties are involved. One is more or less the validation framework, but we'll look into that, and integration party. So these two are basically connected. On the validation framework, we have a catalog. So there are all the rules there. So we're having here unlimited, almost for every single thing we have the rules. So we have all those elements which are checking something very special, and it's basically growing and growing with every project. It's very easy to add one of those elements to prove something. But the strong part is, of course, the profile, because in the profile I can say on a purchase order confirmation or on a purchase order, unfortunately this is in German, or invoice, I can select different settings. What should be approved? Is it invoice? Where should be a warning or not approved? I can even remove lines. I can add lines. So I can check. I can use the full list from the catalog. If you look on the USMF side, then we see more or less the sales side. This is more interesting because there we have more rules. And then you see that is very flexible profiles. Then you could say, on the B2B side, on the production side, on warehouse management solutions. So everything has its own, you can configure your own catalog. And you cannot only configure one of it for the counting. If you have two different warehouses and the warehouses are, let's say, separate, treated differently, you can even set up two of these counting approvers in a different setup. And the attachment, especially for the B2B part and EDI, is going through the integration party. Integration party is a very strong part of ours, where we are basically one thing at the very beginning, I forgot to tell, we're trying not to touch standard 365 F&O elements. We are just connecting to it. So we're not digging into a customer table, or we're putting somewhat things, fields and things into vendor table or something else. No, we have our own environment, and there we link it up to, in this case, to a customer, or we link it up to a vendor, or we link it up to something else. But we're trying as much as possible not to touch any standard element from 365, which gives us a lot of freedom on the every 3 months update. One version Microsoft, every 3 months a new update. So we're 99% we are not hit by anything. We are also not inheriting code from Microsoft. We're developing everything ourselves. That means we are very free, and this is where then we finally can configure. And our goal is not to ask what you need and then we sit down and develop something and then it's just for you. We have it already out of quite a lot of projects. We know what's the best way to do it at the moment. Also in connection to SEEBURGER, that we have, of course, set up. I can already start to say, okay, are we working on G-line code? Are we working on barcode? Are we working on account number direct? Same is on the item side. So is it a cheating code? Is it a barcode? Are we using standard units? And what you can see here, for example, validation profile. So the validation profiles we are creating now for a B2B sales confirmation can now be added. And as you already can see here, I could add for the customer US 001 a different profile than for the customer US 010. It's up to me. I can say this customer uses cheating. This customer uses external item number. So I'm completely free to set these things up. The same is on the outbound message, and on the outbound message we have also the override function when you have central invoicing organization, so that your invoice is going to a central company. We can have different endpoints for each document type. So if you have 99.9% SEEBURGER customer, but then you have 5 customers which are not from SEEBURGER, no problem. This you could send them via Logic App or whatever. So very, very flexible to configure it. And this is where the whole framework basically comes together for the validation and the communication. Did I answer your question?
I think it did. Thank you. Next one, is there also a monitoring of the EDI middleware to see if messages were delivered to the partner?
Yes. Integration monitoring. There is no message which is not in this list. Otherwise, the message did never reach our, let's say, Planet 365. But as soon as there is an incoming or outgoing message, it's in that list here. And this list basically shows the direction, and it shows also which application is used and which event. Is it a sales server created, backing slip, a big list sent whatsoever? And within this, let's say, outbound document, or let's use an inbound. This is that we look also how inbound looks. We have also the complete detail map, so you can see what is it all about, even the contract type, everything what it is. Then we have the complete message type we received. It's very important. If you have error handling or so on, you see in a clear matter what do you receive and what probably was the problem why you could not post it. And then, of course, we have the logs. So we received it successfully, we started the processing successfully, and we finished the process successfully. And then, of course, I can have all the request message over here and the response to the external party that we had been able to post everything and sending status 200 as a result of a successful result. The same thing is on the inbound part. This was now the on the outbound part. Sorry. On the outbound part, we're also having the same look and feel from the information from the details. The message outbound is XML message. If it goes to SEEBURGER, then it touches after that outbound here the SEEBURGER connector and moves everything into CXML format. But the same information comes over here. It was sent by me at that time, at that minute, at that second. It took us 5 seconds. 5 seconds to send it out. And SEEBURGER confirmed back that it was basically successfully delivered. This is how we basically control and how we do the setup of the message integration, so the integration handling and the messages. And it's basically for every journal, for every document type and interface type. So it's covering the complete solution. There is no message going out or in, no matter if it's B2B, warehouse, or whatsoever, which is not covered by this monitor. And as you have seen already at the beginning, messaging could be set up, whom to inform if something goes wrong. Is it internally? Are we using it Teams? Are we sending an SMS or whatever you want?
Horst, you could also show again the SEEBURGER message tracking. This would be then the second side. If you, for example, your ERP shows that everything was transmitted fine to SEEBURGER, but your customer tells you I didn't receive the invoice or order, whatever. You can also look into the SEEBURGER EDI solution and see every message which we received from Soluvine or FlexLink, and also if it was transmitted to your partner. And if there is, it depends on the protocol, but for example, on an AS2 connection, if there is a checkbox that says successful, it was successfully delivered to your partner, and the problem is probably on the partner side. So yes, that's about it. I think we showed like all the monitoring capabilities that we have.
The monitoring
quite extensive.
Is a little bit split because then we have it on an import journal. We have the integration jobs. This is it goes then deeper and deeper, but everything starts on the integration monitor. This is more or less the top level, which you cannot pass by. There's no chance. Either on the inbound or on the outbound, it will always collect the transactions. If something is going to be sent out and if something is coming in, and it will report about the situation of it.
Great, thank you.
Any other questions?
No, that was the last one. Thank you very much for your answers and your insights. And thank you to the audience for joining us today and for your interest. Lucas, if you go back to the slides quickly.
Yes.
Few couple things I wanted to show to the audience to wrap this up. So I would really love to invite you to our SEEBURGER community where you can connect with peers and SEEBURGER experts to discuss topics around dynamics or ask any questions. You see the link on the slides, which you will get via email after this webcast. And then when we now close the webcast, you'll be led to a website where we ask for a quick feedback on how we did today, what went well, and what you would like to see in the future. And that will really help us to align our webcasts with your needs. Right, that was it. Thank you very much, everyone. And yeah, we hope to welcome you soon again. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.